and welcome to another edition of Amusement Warehouse podcast. Today, we're going to be doing our first park interview, and we're super honored to have Corky and Debbie Powers with us, who recently purchased Family Kingdom Amusement Park in Myrtle Beach, which so many of us have gone to over the years. It's an iconic park, and we're going to learn about their plans for the park and what's going on and how they're refurbishing it. So welcome, Debbie and Corky.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
So you guys, you had a lot of interest. You own a carnival. You have a big carnival with a busy schedule and all kinds of things to do. And now all of a sudden you own an amusement park. So what brought that about? What was that decision-making process?
Well, we did it to more or less back away from the traveling carnival, in which we've given a lot of our locations to my son Eddie and his family and Tracy, and but we're still maintaining our major locations and just sort of trying to sit back and relax a little bit and turn the lights off and go home at night. But so far it hasn't been like that.
I had a feeling it wasn't going to be like that at all. I was almost spit out my water here when you said it was relax a little bit. Debbie says you get up every morning and go to work just like you did before.
Yeah, I do. Actually, I go down right now. We're open weekends. We Thursday, Friday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I come to the shop Monday through Thursday and work at the shop because we have 20 people working here at the shop. So we're busy all the time, and we're always refurbishing our equipment, and we're by doing what we're doing, we're able to put new rides into Family Kingdom, and the Family Kingdom has been there for a long, long time, and has had good years and bad years, and we're trying to sort of reinvent it. The people that owned it really didn't take part in marketing it or anything. They just were like on autopilot and just draining it. But we do have a partner that Bill Prescott. He's well known around there. He owns a bunch of rides at Broadway at the beach and the Big Wheel down there. He's partner in and several other things. But anyhow, him knowing the whole area and we do what we do, it's a great combination.
But what drew your eye to Family Kingdom? I mean, was it a place you were familiar with already? Was it? Did you hear it was for sale, or did you kind of have your eye on it beforehand, or what brought you there?
Well, really, for several years we've been looking at it. Bill Prescott, like I say, he has a bunch of rides, and I got to know him real well because we had rebuilt a lot of his rides and done work on them, and we just got to be close friends, and he always talked about the park. He didn't know how long they were going to keep it, and that they're really not running it properly, and that he asked me if I'd be interested in buying it with him, and we had talked about it, and at one point during the pandemic it became available, and unfortunately everything else didn't become available as far as money, so so we had to move on, and they actually we bought it in September 22, and prior to us buying it, they had an investment company out of New York that they were going to tear it all out of there and put condos and the good thing about the whole park is if you think about it, it comes with 500 feet of oceanfront property, which was an old water slide in a building, and we've taken those down already because they weren't worth really using them anymore. And we're making that into a parking lot, and that's been another ordeal with the city and permits and all that. But really, the beach property is probably worth more than the whole park.
I can see that. So Family Kingdom, or what's now Family Kingdom, started in I think 1966 as Grand Strand Amusement Park, and was purchased in '92 and became Family Kingdom. And wasn't there a water park associated with it too, like across the street? You're talking about with the parking lot, right? There was a water park,
that was on a beachfront property there. Yeah, and it hadn't been used in a couple of years, and we looked into maybe nowadays down there. I don't know if you've been down there in the last several years, but most hotels have a little water park in each one of their hotels, and that one was antiquated and old. It would have put millions plus. You need lifeguards. It's just so much to it with the health department, and it just wasn't worth our effort to upgrade it at all.
So it was cost ineffective, to say the least.
For the water park, yeah, they always intrigue me because there's so many it's not like a ride where you strap them in, you press a button, and they
Right.
safe at the end. There's so many variables when you're flying through those rafts or whatever. And
A lot
Yeah,
of them
that's a big
little
liability.
claims,
Even our
insurance.
insurance
more.
company,
Yeah.
our insurance company said, you know what? He said, it's real expensive insurance, and by the time he put all the money into it, he didn't really think it'd be worth it anymore. Because there's a lot more liability there than there is in the park, believe it or not.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
And the other part, Ron, about Myrtle Beach is it's close to all of our homes. Our children live in Wilmington. We live in Lumberton, so we can be home in an hour and a half if we so choose to. Quite unlike if we were on the road traveling, it would take hours and hours and hours to get home, or even flying. It would take a long time by the time you drive to the airport, etc. So, location had a lot to do with why we chose Myrtle Beach.
Mm-hmm. So the season is going to go from when until when? I mean, Myrtle Beach is becoming such a year-round place now. I remember, when I was a kid, it was summer resort like all the other places, and then as I got older, it's the season, for what it's worth, expanded.
Right now, we're opening like a week before Easter, and then closing a couple of weeks after Labor Day, and eventually that we may get into some Halloween things and maybe Christmas programs, and it's just something we haven't dove into. Right now, we want to maintain, like obviously Raleigh and Goldsboro and Rhinebeck and Gaithersburg. Those fairs are great fairs, and we have they're great partners. And we're still young enough to still do them, I guess. But that was the whole plan, just to do those few fairs and to be down there all summer long. And if we had to pop in to a fair, we will personally be at those big fairs. And the good thing about Goldsboro and Raleigh, we're closed at the park, so all those rides I take to the park are going into Raleigh and Goldsboro, and so it sort of works out in that respect.
So the Swamp Fox will be moved to Raleigh.
Ha
Yeah. That actually, when we the people that own the park, they had an office 7 blocks from there, and they visited the park like maybe once a year. They didn't, no promotions, no nothing, and it's just unfortunately, we're going to have a grand opening next year with a new name, because the name has been tarnished over the years. And with all the stuff that we've done and the improvements that we have done, I mean, when we took it over, the Swamp Fox, you talk about the Swamp Fox, we had like 4 phases. They did part of a phase to start with, and which we did phase 2 and 3 in the last 2 years, which were both over $1 million each on the Swamp Fox. And we have one more phase to finish up next year, and actually this year. And then it's good for 15, 20 years. If we have our coaster guy who's been there like 12, 14 years, and we just had to rebuild the whole coaster, and we thought about taking it down, but that'd probably ruin the park if we took it down.
That's an interesting thing. Is the Swamp Fox, I guess, is the iconic piece there. So you knew you had to do repairs and refurbishments. And with your ride experience, you've got such a great ride experience. But one thing you probably didn't have that much experience with is a wooden coaster. So that Philadelphia Toboggan Company classic coaster, the Swamp Fox, that must have been an interesting project, refurbishing that a bit and moving that on. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, actually, the company that's redoing it, he actually built the wooden coaster at the Pavilion Park years ago, and he's been rebuilding and repairing and building coasters all over the world. And this needed to be done, or we wouldn't have been able to operate it. And I'll tell you, Debbie and I ride it every year, and it's pretty smooth for a wooden roller coaster. We're really proud of it. And but I never, like you said, I didn't know anything about a wooden roller coaster, but I did learn that they should have never painted it, because they say paint holds moisture and rots wood, and that was one of the things they did. And when you're paying now $29 a foot for iPay wood, you don't paint it now. So you learn a lot over the years, but it's a great piece of equipment. It's a drawing card. And the other thing, we have Philadelphia Toboggan Flume Ride too. So
And that's a
I-
big
Is that a
draw.
PTC flume ride? I thought it was. I read somewhere it was an O.D. Hopkins flume ride. Actually,
I think it's PTC. Yeah.
we got to correct that
Appreciate it.
Wikipedia. They got it listed as an O.D. Hopkins flume ride. I
Yeah.
was curious about that.
Yeah.
We'll check that out.
Yeah. I'm almost 100% sure. But we have the first Sally dark ride, interactive dark ride that they put into a park back in the day. It has
Yeah, I saw you
99.
had a Sally Dark ride. That's pretty cool. Do all the did you have to refurbish the inside with all the tricks and all the different things?
There's 99 tricks and every one of them work.
What?
Yeah, there's 99 tricks. I mean, it probably could use being modernized or whatever, but it's a pretty cool thing. It's a neat. I've been through it a couple of times, and people love it. They really love it. And you probably know this already. We have that they call the twist and shout coaster, which is like the old mouse type coaster, but of course it doesn't. The cars don't turn. But
That's a Zamperla piece.
Yeah, that I'm not. Maybe is. I don't know. But I'll tell you one thing. Debbie says that's the scariest ride on the park.
And I ride everything. I was on the slingshot Sunday, and I'm not afraid of that stuff. So that's the scariest one we have. You feel like you're going to fall off when you get to the edge, flings you around.
That's the way I always feel with those wooden coasters. It feels like you do not feel safe. You feel like you can, fly off at any second. It's not like the steel coasters. So those are always intriguing to me. That because the ride you get is so much different. But you said yours is pretty smooth, which is neat. But that ride's won a bunch of awards too. It's got a bunch of distinctions. I was looking top 10 here and all that kind of thing. That could be something you could make a big deal out of too, I guess. With the
we are actually. I don't know. We have a friend that's used to work at Quasi Park, Ron Gusterson. He did all the marketing. I think you know who he is. But anyhow, he lives in North Carolina. He worked for me for years. But anyhow, he's going to get all his coaster enthusiasts to come over there and have a day one day with at the park with the coasters. And he's into all that kind of thing. But yeah, the coaster. We had one guy stop by already, and he rode it, and he said he rode it before years ago. He said he couldn't believe how much smoother it is today.
There's a plaque right as you get on the coaster, and it's a landmark plaque from the American Coaster Association from many years ago. So it is one of the landmark coasters in the country. I think it's only one of 2 wooden roller coasters on the East Coast, right, Cork?
I think I read that someplace.
Yeah.
But the thing you don't know
on the water, I mean, on the Atlantic Ocean.
Right. The thing
there used to be one by me here in Virginia Beach, but they blew it up for a movie, right?
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
That's right, they did.
The one thing you don't know, we owned the park for 9 days, and we got it baptized with 4 feet of water in the park.
You got it baptized with what? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, with 4 feet of water in the park.
Oh my gosh!
From the hurricane and high tide at the same time.
Oh my god! And what kind of damage did that do?
A lot.
About $4 or $5 million worth of damage. We did have some. We did have some insurance, didn't cover everything, but we had a lot of damage. It was 9 days after we didn't even have the park open; it was closed, and it was so that took a big undertaking last winter for sure, getting that all ready to go. But the good thing is, if there's anything good, all the rides they had in there, the rides that I took out of there were ground mount rides and antiquated rides, and they were smart enough because they've had issues in the past, not as bad as that, I don't think, but they take the motors off the bumper cars, or they take the motors off the Hampton umbrella rides, and try and get everything high and dry. However, that flood just came so quick, they didn't get everything done in time. But the good thing is we were able to salvage all those rides, but we're not using the rides I put in there now. It'd have to be 5 or 6 feet of water to get in there to get to our rides, because they're modern rides, and all the transformers and things like that, we mounted them 5 feet high, 4 feet high, so they would never get drowned again, I guess. And just things that they should have done over the years, but they didn't have the funds. The people that owned the park, they didn't want to come up with any money, and the she had great maintenance people there, but they just didn't have the funds to do what they had to do. And relatively speaking about the rides, they pretty much maintain okay, but they held the reins on doing all that. And like I say, We spent a lot of money, but we want to make it a destination. That's our whole thing, and we will make it a destination. The park, if you could have seen it when we bought it and the way it is right today, 2 seasons later, it's our second year, but now we did a lot of the hard stuff. We had to do a lot of infrastructure besides the coaster and all kinds of other things on the grounds itself. We're replacing all the bridge. There's 3 bridges that go across from one side to the other. All new railings, all new bridge. The guy was big on stucco back in the day, and it's so antiquated and so ugly. And we've replaced all of that. And now this year, our big project is Debbie and the girls. They've redone all the food buildings, and they look absolutely beautiful. And Chuck Wheeler's doing a lot of our signage, and they're going to pop. They never had any umbrellas around there. They didn't have a place to sit out of the sun, and it gets 105 degrees down there. They're not going to stick around. But now we have all kinds of seating under cover, and what they call big ass fans in one of the buildings, and so now we have a place for people to stick around.
That's great. Debbie, was going to be? You mentioned the food, so I'm sure you made just a few changes to the food items out there.
Completely.
If I know you at all.
Yeah, right. We opened up. They had tiny little windows on all their booths, and my opinion has always been people want to see you making it. People want to watch you. So we opened up all the windows and put all new windows on the sides as well as the front. I mean, big, tall windows. So that was a huge thing. We painted everything. They had their whole theme before was a Renaissance, why they called it Family Kingdom, because it was trying to get to that Renaissance. Like they have towers everywhere that look like an old castle. So we've changed almost all of that. And so consequently, pastels were their colors, which in my opinion, pastels don't sell. You need bright colors. People want bright colors. It's a known fact. People like reds and yellows, and that's what makes them hungry. So we painted a lot of reds, yellows. The cotton candy, we put a cotton candy popcorn booth in. They never really had anything like that before. And that's doing well with the ices. And all of the children and myself and our nephew have taken over all the food and one other person with the pizza. So it's going to be a lot different. And we did put 3 of our food trailers in there as well. So, and everything's doing well. I'm actually pleasantly surprised I was nervous. I'm used to X amount of dollars, but I'm pleasantly surprised at what I'm getting. So I'm happy. And I know everybody tells me, because now we're just open weekends and it's basically just local people. So now we're not getting a lot of tourism like we will starting, after school's out Memorial Weekend. So we're looking forward to that. But, it's different. It's a work in progress. I like the fact that I'm home every week during the week at our house in Lumberton. I'm enjoying that and entertaining people and just playing catch up. It seems I never play catch up in this house. So I'm getting to do that. And so it's like I said, it's different. There's parts of it that I will miss being on the road. But for the most part, I think this was a wise move, especially at our age, even though when we were working to get it open by the Easter week break, I thought, what are we doing? We're working harder than we've ever worked on the road. But now that it's open, it's a lot. It's okay.
I don't know if you know this, Ron, but they draw like 20 million people a year down on Myrtle Beach during the season.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah,
That's
so
I only want a couple million. That's all I want.
Come to yours.
Corky
Debbie, are you going to be offering a lot more like meals and things like that? Like, what's your strategy? Because I think you said the food wasn't really, it was just kind of an afterthought, right? Before at the park?
Right. It was an afterthought. And the manager that ran it before did a good job on the park, but absolutely hated dealing with the food. Mm-hmm. So he was very excited that I was taking the food over. But anyways, a lot more items. They had funnel cakes and fries together. We've obviously split those 2 up. And, I do fried dough, funnel cakes, deep fried Oreos, deep fried candy bars, and a lot of specialty funnel cakes now that I can do because it's a permanent building versus in a trailer where you're limited on space and stuff and such. So that's interesting. I'm still playing around with what's going to sell. I don't want to spin my wheels on things that aren't going to sell, but it's a work in progress. And the cotton candy, we have everything we have on the road: the popcorn, the candy apples, the caramel apples, popcorn, ices. And then Mark and Dean does that. Dean and his wife Stephanie, and then Susie's revamped one of the buildings that's on the boardwalk for ice cream, and that has been a huge project because it had nothing in it, so everything was new. And you have to meet all the codes, not only for the health department, but you have to meet the codes for the city of Myrtle Beach because it's on the boardwalk. So every time you turn around, it's something else. But it's a learning curve, and we're getting there, and we're trying our best to figure it all out, and we will.
Are you going to be serving like more? I know you got all the like the dessert items and the specialty items, but are you going to be serving more like meal type items to try and hold the people longer, to have them come longer? Or
no, I don't think we need particular meals. We have the hamburgers, hot dogs, sausage, Mark and Stephanie doing that. So we have all that stuff. And then Susie has the chicken in her French fry, and she does very well with the chicken down there. So, and then of course we have pizza. So we have plenty of food as well as the dessert items.
So you can come for dinner and eat and with your family and spend the day and not have to leave the park to eat somewhere else or just get a funnel cake or whatever it is.
Exactly. And Corky, like he said, made areas where you can sit now under cover with fans, so you're comfortable. You're not, especially for if grandparents want to bring their grandchildren, they don't have to be standing around all day. There's a lot more seating area, so that's always been Corky's project and pet peeve, is that you need to have seating area under cover, under umbrellas, or we've added a lot of shelters, like big metal
we put an 80-foot by 14-foot overhang on an old arcade building, which we turned our arcade building into seating as well. So we got seating and faces the food, so it's a perfect fit for everything to make extra money. And the one problem they had with food last year, just had the clerks in there. Girls, I go down there and visit, and their backs would be to the window. It wasn't a big deal to them. The people, obviously Debbie and everybody has. They're qualified people that's been working for us for years. H2Bs, or we have some people locally as well, and and they're of course everybody's there to make sure they're not sitting on a counter or out back smoking a cigarette or whatever they do, but they're going to make money when it's there.
Right, we all take an active role in what we do because we love what we do. I absolutely love what I do, and I don't want to retire anytime soon. Even though most of my friends are retired, I certainly don't want to retire. I can't imagine what I would do with myself, and I can't imagine if Corky retired, what we would do. But
what about the games? Have you refurbished the game operation? I saw some pictures on Facebook.
Totally.
Steve Annie totally redid the game. He brought new games in, and he spent lots and lots of money. The games are just hanging in there right now, which he knew that. Knowing that the season is about 100 days, but come Memorial Day on, it's different from a fair where you wait for the weekends a lot of times. But at a park like that, you get the same kind of money almost every day, all week long, because tours change within 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, and you get new people, new faces. So that's a whole different thing that we never really dealt with before. So it's going to work fine. The other thing I meant to mention that they have a chance wheel. I think it's the number 2 chance ground mount wheel they ever built from Chance. Yeah, and their lighting package, when we bought it, even at night you couldn't see it. They had the old Italian lights in it, and half of them were out. So we put a big Denny's lighting package into it, and the carousel is a 1929 Philadelphia toboggan.
It's beautiful and huge.
Oh, you got a PTC carousel too. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. You need to come down there, Ron.
I will. I definitely will visit this year. It's exciting.
Yeah.
The what was I just gonna say? So the games are going to become a bigger part of the park then with Steve's.
Yeah, yes. They
band?
actually, Steve is. I think he has 16 or 7 games in there, and there's one building. There was a building there they had games in, and he just revamped that whole place. And like I say, he's just stuck a ton of money into good family games, and you know, the old photo machines and punching bag, all kinds of stuff that they haven't had there in the past. And I think he's going to be happy at the end of the day. I think the big thing is, even last year we wasn't the greatest year there. We made a few dollars, but when I looked at my expenses on the road and looked at my expenses there, I bet you on the road it's 35-40% extra just moving a show compared to being a permanent location
that we now get to keep.
So you don't need as big grosses to net as much. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
And it's all about the net anyways. It's all about the net.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've always thought when I was talking to park people and talking to a carnival, the park seems like it's more, you can actually manage a business because you got a relatively good idea how many people are coming each week. Yeah, there's weather, but it's not like the carnival where, you know, this could break down over the road, or you smash a trailer into the side of something, or you know, your help quits, or I'm sure that happens at the park too, but you're a little more on your feet and stable there, where you can actually manage a business and spend more time managing the business, watching costs, controlling costs, doing all those things, rather than you know, being on the road and hoping things go well week to week.
We'll let you know at the end of the year. But I do agree, you can control your costs better at the park.
And believe it or not, we probably have, I bet 35 people have been working there for 10, 15, 20 years. We have one old timer that runs the train. A train pretty much goes around the whole park. It's a beautiful train. We just actually redid the whole train, but he's been there for a long time. It's just a really fun ride, but fun ride for everybody and family. The good thing about the park, we're on Ocean Boulevard, which is a boulevard right at the ocean, and at the other side of the park is Kings Highway, Highway 17. And the city actually built a walkway from 17 right through the park to Ocean Boulevard, and it's a big asset for us. And we just know that this is something that had lost money forever, not lost money, but didn't make any real money. But we just believe we will make it a destination.
Yeah, it's interesting that you use the word destination a bit because I guess when you're at a fair, the fair is the destination clearly, whereas with parks or I'm sorry, especially a resort type park, the vacation is their destination, right? They're going there for the ocean and all the other things, and then you kind of got to compete for their attention once they're there. What are we going to do tonight? You know, what are we doing? But then you also have locals where you would be a destination. Let's go to the park today. So are you looking at how big of do local people play, or, you know, within, I guess, a 50-mile radius coming to the park, inviting them to the park? And then how much are tourists going to be a focus for you in the future?
I think locals will be a big part of our income. Just for an example, with a lot of taxes in South Carolina as far as ride taxes and entertainment taxes, all that stuff. But so our regular ticket for someone just buying a ticket without buying them online ahead of time or advance sale, all that is like $50 with all taxes. We offer half price for all the locals, and we have three counties that we offer that to, and season passes as well. And so that's starting to click for everyone too. So you spend $25 to come into we have 34 rides in there, including all the coasters. And oh, by the way, we just put $500,000 into all new go-karts in the go-kart track, and because their go-karts were 20 years old and they hadn't used them the last couple of years. So we have that up and running, and that's doing okay as well.
So the locals you're going to really encourage them or incentivize them to come and come often, I guess.
That's all we're getting, really. That's other than during Easter. that's basically what we're getting right now is mostly locals. Now, I think starting this weekend they have bike week or something. They have like a bike week. They have a Jeep week. They have something. There's always some. Oh, they have Tough Man contest this weekend, which is a mile down the road from the park. So they have all kinds of activities all the time going on throughout Myrtle Beach. And I don't know last time you were there, Ron, but they built beautiful new hotels all the way up and down the beach. At one point where we are, it was all run down. There's still a long ways to go, but every time you look down the street, they're knocking down another old hotel and putting something new up. So they're making the whole Myrtle Beach is what keeps Myrtle Beach alive. All the parks and Believe It or Not and all those places. That's what's keeping. They have theaters and all that they draw a lot of people. They have a lot of things going on.
And they built a beautiful boardwalk too along the ocean, which is really nice, and that's not far from us at all.
So with the tourists, you're hoping to sort of get on their agenda at least one or two of the nights that they're there. Is that the plan?
Sure.
Make it a part or a sort of a can't miss thing to do when they're in Myrtle Beach.
Exactly. We really need to work harder on the hotels. We do have something called Tripster. When people check in, like Groupon, they can get some discounts for the park through Tripster.
We have a long way to go with the marketing, but there was so much to do just to get the park to our level and our style, and we're not there yet, but we will get there. But there was just so much to do with that to me, don't advertise what we had. We needed to update it and revamp it and make it a destination. And I just wanted to say this one thing. There's a lady there that's probably worked there 20 years, and she's a little bit younger than me, and she does general services, cleanup and stuff like that. And she said to me the other day, what a change. I'm just totally amazed at what this park looks like compared to what it did.
Wow.
She said, it's like a makeover. And then she looks at me, she goes, what's that show? And I said, Extreme Makeover. She goes, yeah, it's like an extreme makeover. She was so sweet. She said, I've never seen anything like it. Plus, Corky and I, as everyone knows, are very hands-on. So I wanted to do a lot of planting of flowers. And I said, let's go to the nursery together and pick them all out. And I helped her plant them. And she's like, why are you doing this? And I said, because I like to work and I like to make things pretty and I want to help you. And they're just not used to anything like that. So, and a lot of the people we've kept a lot of the people on because they are so devoted and do love the park. And once again, if you love what you do, you're going to be a good employee.
That's right. So when you bought the park, there were like 30, some little less than 40 rides there, give or take.
34 rides. Yeah.
How much sort of exchanging, popping in and out have you done so far? And what are the plans for the future as far as,
well, I put 10 of my newer rides in there, Ron, big rides and kiddie rides, and took 10 of theirs out. Obviously we want the Swamp Fox and the Flume and the other coaster, but they actually had 2 go-kart tracks, and the one that was in the park, they hadn't opened in years, but it was just left empty. So we had to revamp all that. I had to re-concrete it, and we put 3 rides over there, and it made the park that much more accessible. But my dream is maybe within a year or two to put another big steel coaster in there. And at that point, I think it would be unbelievable because we got the wooden coaster, you got the twist and shout, and you'll have another coaster. And there's nothing like that other than over in Charlotte, at the park over there. But on the ocean like that, it would be. I think it would be a big deal.
Absolutely, it'd be a big deal. Yeah. So you've added quite a few of your own rides to the park's arsenal now. So that I saw on the ride list online that there were a lot of newer rides, and I was thinking they were rides you had brought in.
Well, like we took the yo-yo while it's been there forever, and we put my Vertigo in there. Mm-hmm. It's just in that experience alone, going up almost 100 feet and flying around instead of the old yo-yo, I put my Techno Jump in there, and we put we call Lunatic now, which there's only 2 in the world, one in the United States, and that's it's just things they've never seen before, and people people come in the park and they've had, you always get bad comments no matter what you do, but we've had mostly good comments about the park, and people see the changes, and they're going to come back maybe two or
So
three
like, yeah,
times.
the F5, that was yours on the road, and you brought it into
Yeah.
the park.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
so
He's
when you
taken-
brought that stuff in, how? I mean, that was a huge change from what was there before, because I didn't get a sense of what was there before. But
Not very
yeah.
nice rides. He brought in beautiful, colorful, fancy rides. And that's a lot of, this is what I hear when I'm in the trailers working, is from the locals that they want to come a lot more often now because there's something to come for. When they buy a wristband, they're getting their money's worth as opposed to before. When like Corky said, the rides are very antiquated. So what he's taken out were a lot of old kiddie rides, and he put in all beautiful new stuff. So, and I'm not talking just kiddie ride. He put in like spectaculars.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
or definitely majors. And another thing I wanted to point out, we had a tilt-a-whirl, which I'm a little partial to tilt-a-whirls. I've always liked them, but repainted it. Chuck Wheeler did all beautiful graphics, and now we're going to do graphics and change the tilt-a-whirl so they look like clamshells. So, all that stuff adds up to making it beautiful, and people pay attention to that. They just do.
Is there going to be a lot of that theming like that going on with the rides?
Yeah, yes, there will be. And again, you can only do so much in a year, and
Right.
And guys like Chuck, they're overwhelmed with all kinds of other work. So, it'll again, we'll be doing little stuff for the next probably rest of our life. But we're at a point now where when we say we want to change the name next year, that we'll be proud to have the media, the politicians, and their families to come down for that day to enjoy the park and see what we've done.
Is the Powers name going to be involved with the park name, or do you know what it is yet?
No. We have 3 or 4 names we're throwing around, and with our partner and our we'll come up with something. We want to keep Kingdom in the name somehow, but
okay.
But
and I want to make it a destination park, not an amusement park. I want to call it something Kingdom Destination Park, because I want people to get that in their head that it will be a destination. It's like, and I'm not comparing myself to Disney World, but that's obviously a destination. And so you got to put it in people's heads and really create a destination.
Mm-hmm.
You have to create it. And we're certainly trying our best.
Yeah. And we're getting sponsorships. We're getting some sponsorships for new signage, LED signage in the park. And, we're doing billboards. They never did billboards. And we have these little cards that go into a lot of card holders and like Fuddruckers and places like that, and the hotels. And we've done a lot, and we have a lot more to go, but we've done more than they've done forever, really.
Yeah, it's smart because there's a lot of the families are out there. You've got the family market, and there's probably not a whole lot of ways to advertise directly to those families without getting lost in a crowd of coupons or something, one of those giant books. So being out there and seeing a billboard where that's your message, or being on a ride where you get the information out there, I think that's a great idea. That could probably be a great source of income for you when you're doing it. It's really smart. So you've probably got a few family members involved in this project, I would imagine, huh?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about who's working on the park and underneath the Corky and Debbie hierarchy there, and what they do and what their plans are for long term with the park?
Well, Phil and Dean are there at the park. They would do anything we asked them to do, but they're so happy to be off the road. And Dean, Phil started to become general manager, and Dean's running the office manager, and whatever he and Phil talk about, but he's sort of Phil's assistant, and of course we'll be there as well. But Steve and Annie is there with his wife, and all the food, like Stephanie's wife and Phil's wife, they are all involved in the food, and they're we didn't say this, tell you this, but Phil and Susie, they're opening they never had beer and wine. They're going to serve beer and wine. They call it. They have a tiki bar. They made one of the buildings into a tiki bar, and I think that there's a lot of times when it's 100 degrees out, they're sitting under the awning. They want to grab a beer or a glass of wine, and I think that'll do well down there, and that'll be completely something they've never ever done before. And we have a lot of our people that are key people that we had on the road with us that we don't need to go out with my rides. I book in a bunch of rides with Eddie for those spots that he didn't have enough rides for, or it just works out for all of us. And I got
and Eddie, of course, your son Eddie Powers, who has Powers and Thomas Carnival on the road,
right? And so he like now we have 10 rides over in Winchester with him, and we have some of our key people taking care of that. So got a lot going on, but we do have good, like Debbie said, we had a lot of good maintenance people that we kept at the park, and they're happy to be there. So, but between it, we have Alan Wheelock with us. He decided to stay at the park, and his wife has a pizza trailer, and he has a bungee, and he has the cameras for all the coasters and things like that. So, so far, again, we're all enjoying it unless the bottom falls out. But, it's just Sunday was like a beautiful sunny day, and it was just you wouldn't want to be anyplace else. It was just a really nice place to be.
That's awesome. So Phil and Dean, your sons, are I guess the two main guys there running the park, and then your other son Eddie is out on the road with the show.
Yeah.
So
and I give him the support equipment that he didn't have to go out and buy, like the extra light towers or benches or any of that stuff that he would have had to buy, and it's a win-win for all of us. And then when I do play Gaithersburg and Rhinebeck, they'll join up with us there with my locations, and basically we'll work together 100% at those fairs. And we'll be doing 3 fairs together: Gaithersburg, Rhinebeck, and Goldsboro. But other than that, and we'll do Raleigh with Frank like we always do.
And he works with his sister Tracy, so they're a team.
Yeah, of course. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and they're spouses.
Can't leave people out.
No. Yeah,
especially your children.
No, Ronnie and Amy, and they'll all be.
So, and you mentioned Phil, who's general
manager. Yeah.
I'm sorry. You mentioned Dean also, who's what am I trying to say? Internet or support on electronics and things like that. You're running a electronic ticketing system there for the first time, aren't you, at the park?
Second year. Fun Tag is there for the second year.
So the customer's experience is going to be a lot smoother going in and out than it used to be. How did they buy tickets in the past, and how are they going to be able to buy them now?
Actually, the gal that works in the office for Dean, she's experienced the old system, and we've had, which I don't have to tell you, a few glitches with Fun Tag, and they're still building their product as far as I'm concerned. But she said it's like night and day with their old system. So much easier to keep track of, real time. You can figure out what's going on, and it's just it's a much better system. And once he's had a learning experience as well, which I don't have to go through all that, but I think next year or two we'll have it. Like I want, for an example, Ron, and you can relate to this. I want something that we can mount on a ride where somebody comes up with a wristband and they can just hold it to that thing, that 3x3, red or green, either it's good or it's not, rather than hold a phone in their hand and drop them and break them and all that stuff. So we want some things more permanent to make it faster and more and batteries won't go dead, and it'll be wired into the real electric system. So, and
there's not as much personal contact with somebody maybe having to take somebody's hand or something because they're not paying attention, the person. So
yeah, I mean, it's a nice experience. You go up to a kiosk, you buy your ticket, put on your wristband, you go in. And I think, if nothing else, I mean, even if it didn't add any speed or anything else, it gives it a more professional, modern feel to the place, right? I mean, you go in, you're like, wow, this is a up-to-date park. It's not like, from the 1940s where I'm buying a a red ticket to go in or something like that. And there's a guy behind
And it's funny, little kids can go up there and buy what they want to buy there. I mean, it's young kids, 7, 8 years old. They're pretty smart nowadays to do all that. Smarter than I am.
It's technology anyways, that's for sure.
But, that's
yeah,
great.
It's a new experience for them. And obviously the cards they can use them forever and they can add to them. They don't have to pay that fee. Once they buy it, they keep the card. They can keep just adding to it, especially locals if that's what they buy, So, we try to make it, obviously, I want them to come there and feel that they have a bargain. And, nowadays with the grocery bills and the gas and everything out there, I think we have a bargain. We have a big bargain, especially the locals. They don't have to go very far to have a great day.
And they've never had a season pass. This is the first year that, I guess, from talking to whomever, Dean decided that was a good idea, and we all talked about it, and that is really going well.
They never had that before. I think it's $159. Is that for the regular people?
Yep.
Yeah. That might be worth it for the family for the week to go there. I mean, shoot. I mean, it's not that bad. You're on vacation, $150.
Right? If you're going to come more than 3 days, it's definitely a deal. For sure.
Actually, I talked to a park in Ocean City that they have, I think, a few less rides on one of those boardwalks. And he told me they do something on Black Friday. They offer a advanced sale for the park. And it started out real low. And he says, now Black Friday is unbelievable. He says, you can't even believe how many we sell for Black Friday on Black Friday. When you're all closed down, not making any money, you get a few $100,000. That'd be pretty nice to keep the park paying the bills and paying the payroll.
No question about it. Yeah. The park in the past, I read a lot. It had a lot of like little entertainment features, like clowns and magicians, and
we want to get to that, Ron. We want
concert once in a while. You are going to do something like that there again.
Yeah, we don't know how much money we can spend. We spend so much money.
I've been practicing my juggling act.
Well, if you do it for food, we'll have you come. If you can do it for food, we'll have you come.
Debbie's food, not just your run-of-the-mill park food.
But what we are really doing, I don't know if you know Dickie Marchant. He works. You probably heard of his dad. Well, anyways, he's our electronic whiz here at the shop. He's putting together a laser show that we can do like 9:30 every night. A laser show.
Oh, nightly. Oh, cool.
Yeah, and do it every single night, and we hope to have that up and running by the end of July, because it's going to take a lot to put it together. But he's done it. They used to do it back in the day with, I don't know if you remember when they had the scramblers under a big tent, and they had all the stuff going on in the ceiling.
Oh yeah.
But he's very familiar with doing something like that, and we believe that'll be a big hit for the park.
Yeah, it'll be like a signature feature every night at a certain time or whatever you're gonna.
Yeah. And we can bounce it off the side of the coaster. We can bounce it off the building. We can move it around, bounce it off all these places. And with the bridges that we have in the park, people can stand on the bridges and watch all of this. It'll be a cool thing.
That's pretty neat. So you will be there. Yeah, I was curious if the entertainment feature really added much to the park as far as revenue or anything else, or was anybody going to see it, or was it just a sort of a nice thing once you got there, but it sounds like you're doing a lot of other amenities too. So I didn't know if you'd see that the value in adding a magician or something like that.
My theory has always been you need to give them something that they're not paying for, and if we can do some little stuff like that, even this year, if we can get maybe some local stuff, a guy walk around making balloons up, a juggler, you can get them fairly reasonable, and we'll try that a few times, especially when we get into our real season. Maybe, like a 4th of July weekend, have something like that.
Maybe do some eating contests like they do at Coney Island or something like that. You could have some fun.
Well, actually, what we are going to do, Ron, I'm thinking about Ron. Ron had a lot of school programs, educational school programs in Quasi Park in Connecticut, and he used to get like a couple thousand kids at a time to come down there, but you had to make it educational in order for the schools to go with it. And so they would have like so much per person, and it's an educational thing, and let them ride the rides, and maybe get them a hot dog and a drink, or something like that and make a whole package. He had a lot of that stuff going on different. And then he had a lot of little birthday parties and during the operation of the park where they had done special things for the families. And so those are the kinds of things that we're going to really jump into, hopefully by, towards the end of the year for next year.
And next winter, we're going to work on, we get a lot of phone calls for birthday parties and church groups and schools.
Mhm.
And, they never did any of that. And well, maybe they did years and years ago, but they hadn't done it in probably the last 10 years. So we're going to have to start marketing that. So that's an option. Sorry. So that's an option.
Thought somebody's being murdered there or something.
No, I'm an Overcomer. My favorite song.
Yeah, those birthday parties can be a great source of revenue, but they're a workhorse. You got to have, the right kids to oversee the parties and be ambassadors, but that's a great addition to what you're doing. Do you think your business is going to be mostly at night or during the day? Because I know the beach
Night.
is obviously a strong competition for you, but
Right.
During the summertime, they tell me it really doesn't 6, 7, sometimes 8 o'clock before they come out because it's so darn hot and they're all on the beach. But what I'm going to do, which I do in a lot of my fairs, is from 4 to 6 offer half price. Even if they come over and at least buy their wristband, they can come back at 8 o'clock. I don't care. But it'll do two things. It'll get them maybe to come over earlier, get those cheap discounts, and maybe stay there and eat. And then when they feel like it's cooled off, or they can go back to the hotel and change and come back, because they can use the wristbands whether they stay there or not all that night, obviously. But those are the kinds of little things that we're going to try and promote. We want to get that's the other problem they had. They never had a consistent time schedule. They'd open when they felt like, and people want to look on the brochure. Hey, they open at 4. We're going to try and open at 4 during the week and 2 o'clock on the weekends. And from 2 to 5 have a half price, and from on the weekends, and then during the week 4 to 6 half price. So that's what we're going to try and do and see how that works out to get them there earlier. But for the most part, it's a nighttime entertainment business because it's so darn hot during the day and people are out on the beach.
Yeah, and it's tough to get away from the family if you're all there together.
Yeah.
People are on the beach. It's like if you want to leave and they don't want to leave, it makes it a little difficult. But yeah, I think
sometimes they'll stay open till midnight, 12:30, because they're busy again, because they come in late, and it's worth being open for all the games and food.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
it's amazing. So you guys have really started a second career with this park, which is
and the whole
you do in your 70s, right? You start another business.
Yeah, I was interviewing Ricardo Flores the other day, and he was talking about it. He goes, I have to go home and watch my dad. And you think, because I think his dad's in his 80s, but you think it's because of something bad. He goes, oh no, last time I left, he went and bought all these robot cars from Mexico, and they were in my front lawn when I got home. I have to watch him all the time because he starts new businesses all the time.
That's funny. Wow.
Well, good for him. That keeps him alive.
Keeps you young.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I mean, is there anything else you guys would like to add? We got a minute left, but I just congratulate you on all that you've done, and I can't wait to see it. I will come down, definitely, 100%.
Yeah, make sure you do. Really, make sure you do, and we can show you. It's hard to explain to somebody all the things. Obviously, people don't understand what you do with the infrastructure. Like we have our TJ. I don't know if you know TJ. He's a painter, and he's been working for me for years, but he's done so much airbrushing, everything. I mean, things he has done down there. He does all my scenery on my rides and stuff like that. They're all hand painted, but he's done a lot of stuff down there. He's been working there a couple of years, well, going on a year and a half now, and he does beautiful, beautiful work. And he's working there basically all the time, doing the things that, like we have 2 painters full time. Everything was there. It was white, blasé. Bathrooms were everything was. I mean, we've been painting and painting and painting and painting, and it just it won't stop because we just have so much to do.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Congratulations, guys. Debbie, thank you for joining us. Corky, thank you for joining us, and
thank you, everyone.
We'll talk to you soon. Best of luck with the park. I can't wait to see it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.